Welcome to Beginner Yoga Mobility with Global Oasis Yoga. This is a Track 2 class designed for those who are already active, whether it be through fitness classes or maybe running, cycling, but are new to yoga. If you are brand new to both yoga and movement for fitness in general, Track 1 is the better place to start, and you will find a link to those classes in the written description below the video. This mobility class is the second of 4 in the Beginner Yoga series. The first class is called Foundations, and well, I do recommend that video as well. The classes are interchangeable, so you can start in any order that you'd like. If you want to find the Foundations class later, scroll down in the written description below the video and you'll find a link for all my beginners classes there. For this class, you might wish to have a rolled up blanket or a bolster pillow and 2 yoga blocks. If you don't have blocks, don't stress. 2 sturdy stacks of books will be just fine for that. So if you'd like to grab those, just hit pause. And when you return, place the blocks at the top of your mat. And let's begin seated with your legs in a cross-legged shape. When you get to seated on the mat, it might feel nice to have a bolster underneath the sit bones, not under the backs of the thighs, just under the sit bones to allow the hips to be a little bit higher than the knees. It takes a little bit of pressure off the knees. So experiment with that. See what feels most beneficial to you today. Once you're situated, go ahead and close the eyes and place the hands on the lower belly. Sit up tall through the spine. Relax the shoulders away from the ears. And take a few breaths. In yoga, the majority of our breathing is meant to be done through the nostrils. And on your inhales, try to make the belly expand on the inhale and contract on your exhale. This might feel a little bit strange and might also be the exact opposite of how you habitually breathe. But what is happening when your belly expands on the inhale, you're utilizing a higher percentage of your diaphragm, which is the body's most efficient way of breathing. So experiment with that. Again, inhaling through the nose, belly expands. And exhale, contracting the belly. Inhale, expanding. And exhale, contracting. Let's do that to a count of 4. So on your next inhale, let's count for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Again, inhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 4, 3, 2. And now let's increase our count to 5. Expand the belly. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Contract for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, expand. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Contract for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. One round of 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhaling for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Wonderful. Continue long and slow inhales and exhales through the nose. On your next inhale, bring the arms out to the sides and overhead. Let your gaze follow your palms overhead. And on your exhale, bring the arms back down by the sides. Let's take that a couple more times. On your inhale, lift it up. And exhale, arms by the sides. Inhale it up. And exhale, come back down. Inhale it up. Leave the arms at the top, and on your next exhale, as you open the arms, twist the torso over to the right and gaze over your right shoulder behind you. Inhale the arms back, come back to center with the torso, and exhale, twist the arms open, now rotating to the left, gazing at the left fingertips behind you. Inhale, arms lift, torso back to center. One more time on each side. Exhale, open the arms. Spine as tall as you lift the arms back overhead, and exhale to the second side. Inhale the arms back up high, and exhale the hands back down to the sides. Place the hands behind the hips, lean back a little bit, and uncross the legs, recross the legs the awkward and uncomfortable way. Take the right arm, extend it, and reach across the chest, taking the left hand just on the outside of the right forearm, and press the forearm and the hand into one another. Create some resistance there and feel a stretch in the outer shoulder. Continue to breathe through the nose and reach the crown of the head to the space above you. Release and find side two. Draw the navel towards the spine here and keep the lower belly engaged. Release from there, place the hands on the knees, and let's rotate the torso over the knees. So lean off to one side or the other. Sweep through center, forward folding over the knees as you go. Sweep to second side, and as you draw the torso behind you, just cup the knees with your hands, maybe make a little bit of a C shape with your back. And then make those movements a little more fluid in one direction. And then change the rotation. Beautiful. Uncross the legs and make your way into tabletop. Stacking the shoulders directly above the wrists and the hips above the knees here. Let's find some cat-cow movements with the spine, bringing mobility into the spine. Round the back, tuck the tailbone. Think of separating the shoulder blades on the back and drop the chin towards the chest. This is cat pose. As you inhale, pass the spine through neutral, bring an arch into the spine, reaching the sit bones to the sky, and your gaze slightly forward. Cow pose. You're also lowering the chest towards the mat here. And now push into the mat, round the spine, tuck the tailbone, chin to chest, back to cat pose. And on your next inhale, lower the chest, arch the spine, gaze slightly forward. Take one more round here. Exhale, tuck the tailbone, chin to chest. And inhale, drop the chest in between the shoulders, arch the spine, lift the gaze lightly. Take the arch out of the spine, back to neutral. Let's find what's called puppy pose. Keep the hips directly stacked above the knees. Walk the hands forward so that the arms are extended in front of you. An option here is to place the forearm on your books or on your blocks. Place the forearms on the books or blocks. And drop the chest towards the mat, opening the shoulders. You can do that same pose without the blocks. So play around with it, see what feels nice to you today. Again, we're keeping our hips directly above the knees, arms extended. The forehead can rest on the mat. It may also feel nice to put the chin on the mat or towards the mat and keep the gaze forward. Breathing is still through the nose here. Holding here for 2 more breaths. As you exhale the next time, lift the chest, walk the hands back to tabletop shape. Let's make our way into downward facing dog. Come onto the balls of the feet, press into the mat, lift the knees, lift the hips, find your downward facing dog. Your knees can stay bent or you can straighten the legs as much as you would like. You're working on pressing the heels in the direction of the mat, okay? They may or may not make contact. Your sit bones are reaching for the sky. Your shoulders are rotated open. So the insides of your elbows are facing one another. Your eyes of your elbows are looking at one another. You're pressing into the ground with the entire surface area of your hand, your palm, your wrist, your fingers, your knuckles. So we're trying to avoid placing all of the weight in our wrists here. And you're driving the chest back towards the thighs, creating also as much distance between the wrists and the side body as possible. Couple more breaths here in our down dog. On your next exhale, walk the feet all the way to the top of the mat to meet the hands. Once you get there, roll all the way to standing, vertebrae by vertebrae. And at the top, roll the shoulders back and down away from the ears. Beautiful. Feet are hip width distance. Your tailbone is just slightly tucked here. We're in mountain pose. Again, our shoulders are relaxed, down away from the ears. You're gonna take the action of drawing the shoulder blades gently towards one another on the back. What this does is it gives you a slight opening in the chest and the feeling of your collarbones moving away from one another. So we're not trying to stick our chest out. We're keeping our ribs glued in close to one another, but we are drawing the shoulder blades just slightly together behind us. Here in our mountain pose, We're also extending our spine tall, lengthening through the waist, and taking the action of trying to separate the vertebrae on the spine, reaching the crown of the head, the very top of the head, towards the space above you. Inhaling through the nose all the way to the top, and exhaling through the nose, contracting the belly. We're going to practice 2 rounds of Sun Salutation A. I walked us through this in the foundations class. We're going to do it again here a couple more times to solidify the movements. On your next inhale, sweep the arms up overhead, gaze at the palms. On your exhale, open the arms wide, swan dive forward, hinge at the waist, and come into a forward fold. Knees as bent or as straight as feels appropriate. There's many different layers here, so find what feels right. What we're looking for is a little bit of engagement, a little bit of resistance there, but not pain. Once you're in your forward fold, allow the head to hang heavy. Let gravity separate the vertebrae in the spine. Your hands can either be on the mat, your arms can be soft and dangling. You can also grab the opposite elbows. On your next inhale, extend the spine straight, so now your torso is parallel to the mat. And then as you exhale, find your forward fold again, bend deeply into the knees so that you can place the hands on the ground and step the feet back into a high plank position. So in plank, our shoulders are lined up with our ankles. There's a straight line there, and our hips are neither above that line or below that line, okay? Hips are directly in line with shoulders and ankles. From here, we're lowering down into a low push-up. So we're in our high push-up now, and we're lowering down to our low push-up. So option to drop the knees if you'd like. Untuck the toes. Look forward. Elbows come straight behind you as you lower down into your low push-up. Or, of course, come from high plank to low plank with the knees lifted. Once you are lowered, come down to the belly and inhale, lift the head, the shoulders, the chest, and the rib cage. Keep the glutes engaged and bring the chest forward to cobra pose. Next, lower the torso. On your exhale, lift the hips, push them back over the heels, tuck the toes, straighten the legs, and find downward facing dog. Settle back into your downward facing dog. Breathing through the nose. Reaching the sit bones high, pressing the ground away, driving the chest towards the thighs. Come up onto the balls of the feet. Walk the feet to meet the hands at the top of the mat. Once you get there, on your next inhale, straighten the spine again, parallel to your torso's parallel to the ground. And then exhale, find your forward fold. Inhale, bend into the knees, roll all the way up. Bring the arms with you at the top, lifting them overhead, gazing at the palms. And exhale, the hands down by the sides. That is one sun salutation. Let's do that again and build onto that just a little bit. Inhale, reach the arms overhead. And exhale, hands come down by the sides, forward folding all the way. On your next inhale, halfway lift, extend the spine. On your next exhale, forward fold again, bend the knees, plant the hands, find your high plank. And then lower from high plank to low plank. Exhaling, looking forward, Let the elbows come behind you, lower down to the belly, untuck the toes, lift up into your cobra, keeping the glutes engaged here. Exhale to lower, and at the same time, push the hips back over the heels, tuck onto the toes, straighten the legs, downward facing dog. We're going to change things up just a little bit here. From your downward facing dog, shift the weight into the left foot, and on your next inhale, see if you can lift the right toes off the mat and make it a three-legged downward facing dog. On your next exhale, rock the body forward so now your shoulders are shifted above your wrists. As you do that, keep the hips high, bend the right knee, and see if it's possible to bring the right foot in between the hands at the top of the mat. If you find your right foot stops further back from your hands, you can heel toe it into position or reach back with the right hand. Grab the right ankle and assist the ankle into place, the foot into place. Once you are here in this lunge shape, lower the left knee onto the mat. Untuck the left toes. Press into the mat with the top of the left foot. Lift the torso and place the hands on the knee. You can also place the hands on your blocks, which should be handy and nearby. Making the ground a little bit closer. Wherever you are, allow the hips to shift from being stacked over the knee to rocking forward, okay? Feeling length in your left hip flexor, the front of your left thigh. The chest can be moving forward. Breathing here. A couple more breaths. From here, we're going to step back into a high plank. So come out of that stretch a little bit, tuck onto the ball of the left foot. Lift the left knee, press into the mat with the hands, lift the hips, slide or step the right foot back to meet the left. Align the hips with the shoulders and the feet. Option to take another vinyasa, which if you are unfamiliar with a vinyasa, it's that action of going from the high push-up to the low push-up, inhaling into your back bend here of cobra, and then exhaling to push it back into your downward facing dog. So option to take that vinyasa or press back into downward facing dog and hold there. Breathing through the nose. We're going to repeat that on the second side. Shift the weight into the right foot. Allow the left leg to lift. Three-legged dog. We're next trying to step that left foot in between the hands. So rocking the body forward, shoulders above wrists, left knee bends, hips high as you step that foot in between the hands. Again, use your other hand for assistance to bring the foot into place if you'd like. Once you get into this lunge shape, your hands can be on blocks if you'd like, or just down on the mat. Lower the right knee and untuck the right toes. Press into the top of the right foot, engage the core to become stable, lift the torso, place the hands on the left knee, and then shift the hips forward, lengthening the right hip flexor here. Finding your low lunge. Taking a couple deep breaths here. Release the stretch. I'm going to give you a chance to do that vinyasa one more time. If you'd like to take it, tuck under the right toes, lift the right knee, step the feet together. Option to take Downward dog or child's pose if you want to skip this part, but step back into your plank if you're with me. Gaze forward, exhale to lower to your low push-up, and then find your back bend, find your cobra, press into the ground, lift the chest, the ribs, glutes engaged here. Exhale, lowering down, shifting the hips back over the heels, finding your downward facing dog. Wherever you are, meet us in down dog if you're not already there. A couple more breaths. Come onto the balls of the feet. Walk the feet to meet the hands at the top of the mat. Inhale, extend the spine, crown of the head reaching forward, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, bend the knees, roll all the way up to standing, bringing the arms with you. And exhale, hands down by the sides. Beautiful. Let's move on. Next, we are going to come into chair pose. So what that looks like is the feet are hip width distance. If you want a little bit more of a balance challenge, you can also bring the big toes together. Wherever you'd like to be, sit the weight into the heels. Find a really, really deep bend in the knees, almost so deep that you could sweep the ground with your fingertips, and then lift the arms or place the hands at the waist and sit in your chair. Look down, make sure that you can see your big toes here. If the toes aren't visible, shift to the hips back a little bit. Arms are strong and active, working as hard as the legs. Again, the weight is in the heels. One more big inhale here. And exhale, bring the palms to touch at the chest. Exhale and continue to exhale and twist the torso over to the right, using the strength of your core and your rib cage. Twisting it into place, sitting deep. Make sure your knees are in line with one another and that one of them is not shifting in front of the other. Collarbones are spread. One more inhale here. And exhale, twist back to center, straighten the legs, shake it out a little bit. We have one more side to do. Sitting deep back in your chair. Arms can be overhead and active next to the ears, or your hands can be at your waist. Exhale, bring the palms to touch. Twist the torso now to the left. Sitting deep. Unwinding and straighten the legs. Shaking it off a little bit. Shift the weight into your left leg. Step back with the right foot behind you. Line up the arch of your back foot with the heel of the front foot and angle the toes of your right foot towards the top right corner of your mat. Bring your hips open so that they are facing the long side of the mat as opposed to forward. We're going to come into triangle pose. On your inhale, extend the arms, lift them high. And as you exhale, open the arms out into a T shape. From here, lean the upper body forward as far as you can possibly go, and then drop the left hand to the outside of the left shin and lift the right arm high. Turn your gaze in the direction of the right hand. The goal here in our triangled pose is to keep the top shoulder stacked directly over the bottom shoulder. So If you find that your top shoulder is folding in down towards the ground, use your side body to come out of the bend a little bit so that you can keep the shoulders stacked directly above one another. If they can remain in line, you can play around with different heights of that left hand, resting on the calf or the shin. You may even make it all the way down to the ground, but that is not the goal. The goal, again, is to keep the shoulders stacked. So it depends on your body which shape you're going to be able to find here and what is going to benefit you the most. Another option here is to use a block, always. Next, bend into the front knee and lift the torso up. Heel toe the feet a little bit further apart from one another and keep the arms extended out to a T. Our hips are still pointed to the long side of the mat. The bend in that left knee is deep enough so that your knee is directly above the ankle. This is Warrior Two. Press into the outer edge of your right foot. This should be holding your weight, and your weight should be equally distributed between your front foot and your front foot and your back foot. The collarbones are reaching away from one another, and your shoulder blades are lightly hugging together behind you. Your gaze is over your front fingertips, which in this case is on the left hand. Breathing here through the nose. Straighten your left leg. Rotate the toes so that they're pointed out to the corners of your mat. We're going to come into some side lunges and go from side to side here. So starting with the right leg, bend deeply into the right leg, sit the hips deep, place the hands on the right knee, lunging to the right, straightening right leg, bending into the left knee, lunging to the left. Flow back and forth between the two sides at your own pace, finding the depth that is appropriate for you, and also rotating the feet as necessary to support you as you flow from side to side. Taking a few more lunges here. The next time both are straight, both legs are straight, point the toes straight ahead towards the long side of the mat. Tuck the tailbone slightly, keep that core engagement. Place the hands on the hips and draw your elbows together towards one another behind you. Hinge at the waist and find a forward fold, shifting the weight into the balls of the feet. Again, hugging the elbows behind you together. Allow the head to drop. Steady breath through the nose. Keep the core engaged, keep the weight in the balls of the feet. Press into the mat with the legs, with the feet. Lift the torso all the way back up. Rotate the left foot so that the toes are pointed towards the top of the mat. And let's just step or heel toe the back foot in and come all the way to standing at the top of your mat. Back to our mountain pose or Tadasana. Let's do that whole sequence on the second side. Beginning with our triangle pose. This time we're going to step back with the left foot, so shift the weight into the right leg. Left toes become light, keep the core engaged, Left foot plants behind you. Lining up again, the heel of the front foot with the arch of the back foot. Rotate the hips to the long side of the mat. Extend the arms to a T shape. Lean the upper body forwards as far as you can possibly go. And then lower the right hand. Left arm lifts up. Option block here. If you'd like to take up some space with the block. Goal here is keeping the shoulders stacked. Turning the gaze up towards the left fingertips. And again, play around with whatever depth feels right. Turn your gaze down to the toes on the right foot. Bend into the right knee. Lift the torso and find your warrior two. Our hips are still pointed towards the long side of the mat. Deep bend in the front knee. Lengthen your stance if you need to, and draw the collarbones apart, shoulder blades together. Arms are active here, just as active as the legs. So hug the triceps in towards the bone. The triceps are these muscles right here. Gaze is over the front fingertips. Steady breath. Slight tuck of the tailbone. And then straighten the right leg. Rotate the toes so that they're pointed out to the corners of the mat. Let's find those lunges again. Sitting deep into the left leg. Keeping the spine tall. Straightening the left leg. Taking it to the second side. And then finding your pace, taking a few lunges from side to side. Steady breath. The next time both of your legs are straight, point the toes straight forward. Let's find that straddle forward fold again. This time, hands come to the hips, collarbones open, hinge it forward, shift the weight into the balls of the feet. Once your head drops, place the hands on the mat, line them up with your feet, and let gravity take over. Extend the spine, bring the left hand directly under the face, shift the weight into that hand and open the right arm up towards the ceiling, twisting the torso, gazing at the right hand. Exhale, lower that arm and change sides. Shift the weight into the right hand, lift the left arm. Lower the left arm, heel toe the feet back together, and come all the way to standing. Once you get to the top, lift the arms overhead. Exhale, the hands by the side, step back to the top of the mat. Inhale, the arms up overhead. Exhale, find your forward fold again. This time, heel toe the feet as wide as the mat. Keep the hands on the ground. So bend the knees as much as you need to keep the hands on the ground. Toes are pointed out to the top corners of the mat. Bend deep into the knees. Drop the hips. Let the chest move forward. We're in a yogi squat. Pause here in your yogi squat if that feels intense on the knees. Back out of the depth a little bit. And once you're ready, we're going to come to seated next. So my suggestion is to place the hands behind you, walk it out, and lower the bum. Extend the legs long, sit up tall. Let's find a forward fold. Inhale, the arms reach overhead, and exhale, walk the hands forward, bringing the chest forward versus down towards the knees. Keeping the gaze lifted and keeping the legs activated. So calves, thighs are turned on and the feet are flexed. Reaching the chest forward. Let's lower all the way down to the back now. You might want to scoot a little bit forward on your mat so that your head lands on some padding. And vertebrae by vertebrae, slowly lowering everything down to the ground. Bend into the knees. Place the soles of the feet as close to the pelvis as possible. Hip width distance apart. Toes pointed straight forward. Let's find bridge pose. Arms are next to the sides. You may also lift the arms up overhead if you'd like. It might also even feel nice to rest them on a bolster. Once you're ready, peel the lower back off the mat. Press the knees forward towards the top of the mat and lift the hips. Strong glutes here. Weight stays in the shoulders, not in the neck. If your arms are by the sides, you can also play with clasping the hands underneath the back and tucking the shoulder blades under the back. Staying lifted for just a few more breaths here. I also find it nice to close my eyes in these more passive poses at the end of class. Up to you if that sounds like a good idea or not. And then on your exhale, lower it down, vertebrae by vertebrae. Draw both knees up to your chest. Give yourself a little hug. You can grab the shins here. You can grab the bottoms of the feet. Open the arms out to a T and lower the knees over to the left-hand side. Use the support under the knees if you would like. Once you're landed, you can turn your gaze in the direction of the right hand. If you find that your shoulder starts to lift, that right shoulder starts to lift off the mat, back out of the twist a little bit so that your shoulder can relax, and support your knees with a blanket, pillow, block, whatever. Breath is still through the nose. engage the core, unwind from your twist, and drop the knees off to the right. Head turns to the left. Left shoulder's relaxed. With an engaged core, back out of the twist. Extend the legs long. Open the feet as wide as the mat. Bring the arms down by the sides. Let's rest here for a few breaths in our final resting pose. Our goal here is to become as relaxed as possible, as weightless as possible, using as little engagement of our muscles, subconsciously and consciously. Another goal here is to continue to keep our minds present and aware and involved in what we're doing. We'll be here in silence for another minute or so. Bring a little bit of movement into your toes and your fingers. Draw the feet closer together. Bend the knees. Place the feet on the floor. Press the low back into the mat. Hug the knees towards the chest. Roll onto one side or the other. Pause for just a moment on your side. Press into the ground to come all the way to seated. Cross the legs, sit up tall. Place the hands on the knees again. Thank you so much for practicing with me today. I hope you enjoyed this beginner mobility class, and check in for the third class, which will be coming out in a few weeks. This is a global channel, which means I'm hoping to connect with people all over the world. I'd love to hear where you're practicing from. So leave me a comment below and let me know. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Enjoy your day. Thank you.